It is the third day of April in the year 2016. Alex Hanser here, coming to you from Southern Colorado. I've been parked for a few days. And what has been on my mind is getting rest. I'm going through, a reset of sorts. And I think back at all the stuff that I've been through in the last calendar year since leaving Portland, Oregon. And I've had the opportunity to travel around this state and see parts of northern New Mexico. Having gone through the experience of my transmission being replaced and really having nowhere to park and being down to $36, being physically and economically drained, I have set out to find my center, to find my grounding where I'm parked right now. And it's not an experience without its faith, Got to have faith in something to keep you alive when you're in situations that a gun where you can easily be killed and nobody would find out because, the locations I'm in are fairly remote. Right now, I'm away from any other human for miles and miles and miles. I would say I'm at least 1 to 2 miles from any human. And so for reasons that some understand and some will never understand, no matter how many videos they watch, city living, smart meter living, living next to people that ultimately hate the fact that they live next to other people, living in a vehicle in an urban environment, and dealing with the programming of today's man and woman. Those are things for other people with that type of thick skin, with that type of attitude of, they can live alongside that madness. And I can't, and I won't. Doesn't mean I don't travel periodically into some of these places, larger cities or towns. I know I came here to find land I can buy to later build on. That plan has been postponed. The ego is bruised. The heart hurts. The heart is heavy. I also know this is a time where a lot of stuff is going on with a lot of people, and I just have to let go, just like letting go of that money. Money is energy. Just letting go. Down to $36. Okay, so this is what's come about from the last year. So I sit here in the RV in a safe place that's close enough to town where I actually have to go in and take care of a few errands, get some propane, get some food, a few other things that are on my list. I'm going to do all that in Alamosa probably tomorrow. And I'm going to come back here. And, I'd like to hope that something will open up. Of all the people that said they were coming up here and they were going to do the off-the-grid thing, of all the people that have contacted me via email, it's certainly been less than a handful of people that have actually made it here. Out of the maybe 30 emails that I've gotten from people saying, hey, maybe let's hang out sometime, I'm coming up here. I'm not complaining or stepping back, but I am noting that the year is 2016. And some of these emails came in years ago. So this area is not for everyone, to echo that for the 100th time. It's an energy. And for others, there is a certain silence that can be found here. I think that you can find your inner voice here. I think you can find and express, if you want to, your inner truth here. I think that's why it's important that I keep doing these podcasts however I feel. I'd like to be able to connect with you guys every day. Now, to be told by some people that my work has helped them sometimes is startling and surprising. But I appreciate those words. Sometimes I feel very judged by this world, especially in my spiritual commentary. So when I hear people writing me from Europe, and I think there was another message that came in from the Philippines, and I'm reaching men and women around the world, that touches my heart. And it's good for me to hear those things, because I do live in a world in a physical sense where it does seem like the odds are stacked against me in social settings and other settings because of who I am. Now, as far as I understand, as long as you're dependent on anyone else for anything, you leave yourself vulnerable to that archonic influence and manipulation and sabotage. And because I don't have a lot of money, I don't have my own place, and I've parked at other people's places, some people that have been prone to mood swings and personality shifts, I've been through a lot. And after what I've been through in Taos, some of you that have watched this channel for years, you know how much I've been through. It's been a while since I came across anything like that. It could have been worse, but it shook me up. And I think it has less to do with that individual and more to do with the energy behind all that. That energy of conflict, of psychic attack, of turning brother against brother. That was pretty revolting, the energy that I felt and what the energy that this person was creating. And then also filing privacy violations on this YouTube channel, so you're dealing with cyber harassment. I actually took a few videos down just to walk away from it after I already put it out there, and he got to see himself on YouTube. I didn't take those down because he filed a privacy complaint. I just found out about that a few days ago. Google or YouTube didn't do anything because no last names were mentioned, and they do make exceptions for certain videos, and they review those videos to see if it's appropriate for there to be a violation of privacy. But when they can see that it's documenting someone assaulting someone else or assaulting the person with the camera, there's a reason that my channel was not punished. But to see people even try to do that I did not have the intuition, that I myself did not know that this person was like that. I myself, I don't know everything. So I am vulnerable. And I am vulnerable myself to archonic hijack. And it comes in the form of, the amplified emotional sadness within the heart. It comes in the form of, self-destruct. Maybe it would be better if I'm not on this planet. It comes in the form of fearing attack, fearing homelessness, fearing growing old and being hated and put into a camp because of your appearance and because of your name. Fearing the future, hating the present, and isolated and all alone. With the loving feminine energy removed in a physical and other sense. This is the way they torture people. This is the way the archons have maintained a stronghold over this world. And it takes an extremely powerful female to override the archonic attempt to reprogram their brains and consciousness. Not all women possess that. Most do not. So what you have for the most part are a bunch of robotic men and women that are following their biological cues and codes without even realizing that their biology is a blueprint. It's not their true self. And there's more to life than just worshiping your youth. So there's ways they try to attack our minds when we're sad. There's ways they try to infiltrate our dreams and tell us, go this way, go that way, you'll be happier, when in fact, you'll be more miserable. And they may even send you fake psychics, If you've ever reached out to one of these people offering a free reading on Facebook. Free readings, folks. Yes, I don't need to read your hand. All you have to do with me is just give me permission to read into your auric field and tell you what they want me to tell you. If they were being honest, that's what they'd say. I've seen more than a few female psychics give me absolute polluted information. And a lot of others that claim to be psychic that are absolutely tapped out, that are not aware of this archonic interference. And then you have others that don't claim to be psychic, and this seems to be the most common. They don't claim at all to be psychic, but they have shown themselves to be very tapped in. I kind of feel that way about one of the guys that was at the Food Not Bombs place in Taos that I did a few podcasts with. He blew me away with, the level of knowledge that he had. But how we would, at times, finish each other's sentences. Believe it or not, even though we thought differently about certain things. there was a certain synchronistic flow. So I've met good people as well as shady people along the road. But right now, and I'm down to $36 after spending hundreds on labor and $375 on the transmission, plus other parts. I'm spent. After all that gas was spent, and expenses there and other expenses on the road and this, I'm spent. And, there's a way that I could feel very lost and depressed and suicidal in this experience, impatient. And I'm allowing this experience to be. And I understand that I was brought back to Southern Colorado where it feels that way, where I was drawn back. It is true that I told the tow truck driver to bring me to Alamosa. Even though I'm not a fan of Alamosa, there are surrounding off-the-grid residents, Costilla, Conejos, Saguache, and others. And this is the only real place in America where I have some allies that I already know where I can call for help, or it seems that the universe, through synchronicity, immediately one person saying, well, my husband has a transmission, call him here, and then the affordable labor appears. That's within budget, almost exactly, and then almost exactly enough for the transmission fluid that I had to buy and the money put into gas. It was like almost too perfect, and money is energy. As soon as I accumulate it and save it, and I think I'm going to get land 3 hours from here, it's gone. Boom. It's like the universe just took it away, and I'm regrounded. And I don't mean necessarily in a meditative state. I mean literally. The RV is grounded. It's not moving. And not knowing really what the next step is, having to roll with it. A few weeks ago, thinking, well, maybe I was meant to be stuck then in Taos for a few months to meet new people, make new friends, continue working out at that gym, going to the sauna every day, living a healthy lifestyle, getting sunshine down south a little bit after I've already experienced getting sunshine in Southern Colorado, where I'm back now. And it turns out that was not going to be. Absolutely not. They were major forces in action that were pushing me off that property. And maybe there are some beautiful things about that area. Maybe that's why I was being pushed out. Maybe it was the leaps I was making in my physical health. I mean, the actual day that all that happened, I just did like the largest bench that I've done in, well, definitely 6 months or so. It was definitely a strong day for me. Pumping out a few at 185, and I'm a light guy. And, there's something about the physical strides that I seem to be making and the increased archonic backlash from this individual that I came to visit in Taos, New Mexico. So I did see a connection with me trying to make positive strides forward and spending more time in nature, and this person around me going ape shit, but then also seeing the yin yang, having some of the most conscious conversations with another guy on the road. He was a traveler himself, and he had stayed at that spot here and there over the course of the last few years. And I've met some other interesting people along the road. I'm just saying, like, he's definitely in the top 5. And it's too bad we didn't get a chance to know each other more. And he's not really someone to have an internet life, so he's one of those where his life is just the stuff around him. And I think that made him more human. I think that's what made him more real, is the fact that he understood this. Myself, I may be more interconnected and involved with the internet than most people, but I still have an appreciation for nature. And have spoken about how the internet relationships in so many ways have replaced regular human relationships. So certain people are operating outside the Facebook box and the internet box is because they're trying to hold on to something that's real, whether they know that or not, whether they're conscious or not. But that is still the fact. So I find myself here 1 year after arriving and looking back at all the stuff that I've been through. At the age of 36, there's a part of me that doesn't want to grow older and keep going through this stuff to be 37, 38, and 39. I'm being down to my last $40 and just trying to find a place where I can live, or to try to I appreciate the people that have donated, but honestly, to try to get people to maybe donate all at the same time so that money can go to land, that's also part of the dream, that the money can come in at the right time, at the right place, where I am ready to settle. And I want that now. And I do think that there are things that are destined for us, but I don't want anything to be holding me back in this universe from living in freedom. I don't want anything holding me back or programming me to think that I'm meant to live in poverty. Even though I'm on the non-materialistic path, I'm not opposed to a millionaire or a billionaire taking a liking to me and wanting to see me do a better job at providing information to my audience, whether it come in the form of providing the income for me to rent a studio temporarily or have a studio built off the grid for a long-term, multi-decade production agenda. Even if the grid were to go down, to keep producing content and using what available technology exists. And I've thought about the future already, where, I may have to go through certain means, additional means, to get the content out there. And then, of course, it's possible that in certain situations it may be completely impossible to reach people. But the fact of the matter is, before that period happens, you can't just keep assuming it's tomorrow. We should continue. I should continue to put out as much content as I can to help provide more knowledge, because knowledge is power. I thought about a very important truth. And I heard from the Vinny's, when you become absolutely hopeless, that's when you can find hope. Something to that effect. Paraphrasing. And I felt very hopeless lately. And it's like letting go of maybe the false hopes, returning to zero, and then rebuilding and renewing in a rebirth towards a new mindfully directed hope, direction, center, focus, visualization. And that's where I'm at now. The past is behind me. And I felt myself, looking back in the direction of Costilla County and some of the locals, just thinking about it. And to be honest with you, I felt sick. Like, I've already done a lot already. I feel like I already played my part. The website may still be on the table. And I've come across some people in Costilla County that have been helpful to me recently. But the fact of the matter is, I need to keep my eyes on the big picture. Costilla County residents, it's in their hands to peacefully assemble and represent themselves. And a best case scenario, to find someone to represent them to run for office and to do the work that's involved in all that. Here I am, April 3rd, 2016. People know that I'm out and about with no place to really park. And I have to accept the fact that for whatever reason, they're not reaching out. They're not reaching out. Whether it be my content or whether it just be the state of the world and just how things are nowadays. Good luck, kid. Came all the way from Oregon, brought a lot of attention to Costilla County. Good luck in the streets of Alamosa. Maybe see you around sometime. Love the channel. Love the channel, bro. Saw your video. Holla. And I'll tell you what, it's strange. But living in Portland prepared me for this, and I can overcome this. And I can overcome the pain or even a sense of entitlement and the sorrow or sense of rejection. I feel that I was meant to be here last year to document what happened. It was almost too perfect and how quickly it happened. And I was at the right place at the right time to get all those testimonials. I mean, it was just there. It happened. All that happened. And I didn't have to work that hard to arrange all those interviews. I just had to be here or there in that particular part of Costilla County. I just needed to be at the right place at the right time. And looking back at all this, it was meant to happen. I may not have ended up with land. I have a transmission change that's not as powerful as the first because I still have to have the spark plug wires changed out, and hopefully it'll get that kick back. Hopefully it'll have that drive again. And it's a time of recentering, rebirth, and renewal. Now, I'm no stranger to the idea of cycles. I'm talking about the cycles of the sun. Before rolling your eyes and go, here Alex goes again, look at where we are in this cycle. I've talked about the solar maximum cycle beginning around 2010, 2011, 2012, and also the effect on human consciousness and the effect on protests and civil unrest. And we've seen the last 5 years, we see a rise in miscommunication between people, as well as protests, as well as riots, as well as more wars and rumors of war, and people talking about volcanoes and earthquake risks and the Ring of Fire. It wasn't about the December 21st date, 2012. It was about solar maximum that just so coincided with the December 21st, 2012 date. We've still been in this cycle, and we just had another magnetic storm, geomagnetic storm. If you go to the Space Weather Prediction Center and spaceweather.gov or spaceweather.com, go to both of them. And also go back, do some research, find out the Brussels attack came during the time of solar flares. So I can see the effect on human consciousness now. And having been in this cycle, we've been in this cycle that's really double peaked for about 5 years. We should be going into a minimum. Right now, at the moment, the sun is quiet. But of course, spaceweather.com documents the solar wind buffering our Earth's magnetic field, these portals connecting the sun and the Earth. It's not necessarily causing geomagnetic storming, but it is. I'm not saying this is a threat. This is absolutely natural, in fact. The sun is connected to our Earth through these energetic portals. But it also, the solar energy, other things, it powers up all kinds of things in this universe, not just human thought or human energy. So that warlike energy that you're seeing from human beings during sunspots, it is an expression of that increased energy in the body that has been misdirected towards war and aggression. And so things also recenter and reset around those periods where you have a completion of a solar cycle, and then there's a beginning of the descent into the minimum where things get calmer on one level, and things stabilize. I've also identified it to be a period where, we're able to function a little bit more in a left brain dominated world. You can translate that to, be able to work for someone else, deal with somebody else, or be able to, communicate. Being a better communicator might be associated with going into a minimum. I know that my TV show started after the solar minimum began. And when the solar maximum was going on of 99, 2000, 2001, there were times where I was a wreck. I've learned about this stuff through personal experience, as long-term listeners and viewers know. So the solar maximum can be a turbulent period because we're really active. Our brainwave states are going in different directions. And, certain stresses may be influencing us to find ways of dealing with those stresses. And we may not so well be on our game. And so I can also see in others, when we have these solar flares and following that a period of quietness within days, there might be a burst in a bunch of videos from a certain person that doesn't even know this is going on. But all they know is it's on. They're thinking, they're awake, maybe a little bit of insomnia. But, if you know these things are happening and you're taking care of your body and you're getting enough water, maybe exercise is really what you need. Maybe not for everybody. But during certain periods, and being healthy, that means not chain smoking cigarettes and getting enough rest and getting enough healthy, wide variety of fruits and vegetables and meats in some cases. These things are really, really important. In that case, you could be in a situation like I was feeling for a few days to where you're getting exercise every day and you're no longer sore. You have high energy, healthy appetite, you're up early, and you're asleep by a certain time. It's like your cycle returns. And when you're in nature and you're away from all that electromagnetic interference, I believe that it's even easier for our natural cycle to return. So here I am with no one around for miles and certainly no cell phone tower that I know of, although they're out there, and I do get internet service. It also drops sometimes too. So I'm not in like a super highly charged radio wave area. It's light. For the most part, there's clear blue skies. I'm going to go outside after this podcast, spend some time under the sun. I've got water that actually came out of a well from the location that I was at last. It's quiet. There's that sound of the wind, which sometimes can be really intense for other people. But I think about like the winds of change, like the Scorpion song says. And I listen to the winds of change as I realize that I'm in one of the most beautiful areas of all of North America, in an area that I believe will be one of the safest. And even though I don't have my own land now, and I worry now, I'm full of worry. Well, if I don't have a home, then that means I have to keep moving. What do I do when gas goes up to $2.50? What do I do when gas goes up to $3? What do I do then when everything goes just keeping this RV moving? How long will I be an American refugee without allies, friends, or places to hang my hat, or opportunities? Will I continue to be cursed because of the controversial nature of this YouTube channel? Why? When I've been protected from so much disaster. So in other words, I have faith. I have faith in the Creator. I have faith in myself. I have faith in my angels. I have faith in this experience that I shall overcome. I shall overcome. I thought by this time I'd have land. And the fact of the matter is I just don't have the money for it. I have $36 to my name. Thankfully, to some donations that came in over the course of the last few months and me not spending them and sitting on it, it helped offset this very expensive repair. And I've seen this before when donations have come in. They came in right before a really chaotic situation. And I've often said that I've always had enough, all that I need, not necessarily my wants. So it's true that all my needs have been met. But I'm a human being. I think about growing older. How long will my body be able to handle the stress of this road? I look at the fact that if I don't shave for a few days, and my hair is growing out, I look like Alibaba. In a day and age where Alibaba isn't wanted in a lot of places in this country. There's a reason why I'm not doing a video now. I literally look like an extra for the X-Men. Wolverine's character. And when I go into the market, I go in these places, all I am is just myself, just like you have a white female hippie and a white male hippie. They're being who they are, okay, when they grow their beards out, okay, when they don't shave their pits, and they're accepted, okay. I don't shave for a week. I have curly hairs, maybe little horns in the back. People notice me immediately. I'm not complaining about this, and I'm not dwelling on this. This is always a part of the reality of Alex Ansary. That I have to survive psychologically the impact of not having anywhere to go behind me, being the reverse of the Oregon Trail. I'm a young man of dating and marrying age, if you will. I am somewhat physically healthy. But in the eyes of many, I'm a dirty RV-dwelling nomad. New Age conspiracy theorist who has no future and has no land. That's all they can see is materialism. They can't even see the value of the content that I put out. But what it comes down to at the end of the day, even though I have nothing, I have something that they don't have that will keep me going no matter what, as long as I'm able to connect with some of you. And that is my content. What worries me is the day where I can no longer reach you with my content. But in that case, the universe will still provide for me in some way. And there may come a time where it's the time to write a book, where there is no access to computers and technology, to where the information that I've been speaking about on video has to be put into writing. So the content will not die. My story will not die. And I will not die before it's time. The fact of the matter is, I fear no murder, because if that is meant to be, if that is created for me in a situation where I could have been murdered many times the way that I live, I can be found, I can be tracked. But I've also been protected from certain things because there's a destiny for me. And it's better to go out being taken out than to take yourself out. Because as suicidal as some people may feel, and I believe it's natural and normal for some people to feel self-destructive, especially when you see a pattern of people offing themselves and killing themselves around geomagnetic storms. Now, if New Scientist report on this in 2008, and I also been noticing the increase in people acting suicidal, schizophrenic in places like Portland, where I think those areas are even in some cases more affected than, say, Midwest areas based on where they are on the planet. When the solar flares impact the Earth's magnetic field and we have a geomagnetic storm, places like Portland, Seattle, LA, New York, and you can even look at, East Coast cities or places where there's lots of unnatural electromagnetic energy to go along with what the sun is naturally putting out. You have an increase in certain person-to-person attacks and suicidal behavior, and that's just how it is. And that includes drug use, road rage, and aggressive behavior, even men going to war. That is a form of suicidal behavior. You heard of suicide by cop? There's suicide by joining the military, sacrificing yourselves to the gods that control the military and print the money here in the U.S. corporation, hobbling on its last legs by design. We see the social engineering, we see how it's working, and we see how the forces of darkness use the solar cycles to their favor. By understanding truly where I'm coming from with describing the sun as something not to blame, but something that will boost all energy, and now they're simply using it and redirecting it, you too can understand in your own life how the solar cycles impact your world, and how this knowledge can be used to benefit your life when you strategize, when you realize that certain things are going to be periods where people are going to be more reactive and tense, and other periods people are going to be calmer in a more meditative state. And they're also going to be open to longer term relationships as opposed to the solar maximum period where people literally, I believe, are more polygamous. They want to literally have contact with as many energy bodies that are lit up as they can. There's something subconscious they don't even understand about energy, about attraction, about repulsion, about movement, about solar flares and people moving to a certain city all at once. It's like, and I have to hold back the sadness that I'm holding on to this knowledge and trying to share knowledge that can help the world, yet I live in a vehicle. My own conclusion is if you have real knowledge that can help this world, you can be punished by this world for more than a lifetime. Or for a lifetime. And it doesn't mean that what you're doing is wrong. And it doesn't mean that you're not being helped by other forces in the universe. It means that by sharing that knowledge that can unlock doors and open minds in this realm, there is energetic blowback. And even if there are angels and guides and having enough food to eat, it doesn't mean that there isn't social rejection and homelessness, and in some cases physical assault that may physically hurt us, but in reality can do nothing to our spirit, can do nothing to our soul, only if we let it. Only if we let it affect our spirit. But we don't have to let that assault, that slap, that spit, that insult, we don't have to let it infect our spirit and tarnish our soul. I can feel the winds of change jerking at the RV, slamming the door when it's left open, directing my life this way, directing my life that way. As much as I do know, and as much knowledge as I accrued, I can be humbled by the universe and see situations where I thought someone was okay that I visited to only find out that they were completely vulnerable to Archon hijack. And at the same time, to have seen however many people have been infected by this angry consciousness where they can turn on you in 180 and become almost a different personality for no reason whatsoever, blaming you for everything that's actually going wrong in their lives, even though you may have only known them a few days or a few weeks. To also seen, as I said, the other side of that, where angels are working or God is working through people. And I referenced in my RV video, being pulled out of a ditch in a situation that could have been very, very bad. And as soon as we find ourselves in some bad situations, maybe we're being pulled out of them just to be reminded by the universe that there is something watching us. In some cases, that there is something protecting us. So I'm going to remain here, finish this podcast, contemplate making more podcasts while I'm here at this spot with no one around for miles. Clear blue skies, clean water. It is April 3rd, 2016. I'm Alex Ansary signing off from Southern Colorado.